Good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success Mentorship class number 163. Wow. And our topic for today is how to get out of a rut. How to get out of a rut. And of course, our readings and our lessons are based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. And if you don't have one, and even if you do, get another one. It's available on Amazon, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. Be sure to get the Super Achiever edition that has over 30 other comments and testimonials from 30 people just like yourself who have been using the principles in this book. All right. Hey, Bryce, thank you for joining us. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now, of course, the book is available on Amazon, but it's also available on our website, herbertharris.com, and on our special website, www.12uls.com. Wow. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Tyrone, Dr. Rogers. Today is really another cycle in the classes we've been doing for the better part of this year. And the idea is that last week we talked about, doing your best. We talked about 9 golden keys for success. And as you begin this success journey, one of the things that becomes clear is that there are periods that we get stuck. There are periods that we find ourselves in a rut. And these periods cause us they cause us pain. They cause us unhappiness. And so we can work with that. We can change that. And so today's class is about how to get out of a rut. There are 2 quotes I'd love to share with us, and I think they're very apropos. Stephen Redhead, who wrote a book called Life is a Dance, and he said, life is for living, not for being stuck in a rut of complacency. Life is for living, not for being stuck in a rut of complacency. Martina Boone, author of a book called Compulsion, she said something else that I think is very instructive. She said, there was a difference between being stuck and choosing to stay. There is a difference between being stuck and choosing to stay, between being found and finding yourself. These 2 quotes, I think, set us up for today. Let us get our minds and our spirits in the right place so that we can be prepared to absorb the message and put it into action. So let us just sit straight up in our seats for a moment. Put our feet flat on the floor. Close our outer eyes. Open our inner eyes. And just relax for a moment. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. And in this state of complete relaxation, we are at peace with ourselves. I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. Just let that peace sink in. Let's affirm it once more. I am at peace with myself. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. And in this state of peace and relaxation, our minds are open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let's affirm this together. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Once more. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Woo! Okay. What a great day for living, sharing, and being alive. Today we're talking about Success Mentorship class number 163. How to get out of a rut. You know, there's a difference between a rut and a hole. You see, a hole is a situation where you're doing something and you keep doing it and it keeps failing and failing and failing, and you do and you fail and you do and you fail. When you're in a hole, number one job is to stop digging. Stop doing whatever you're doing and look up. But when you're in a rut, it's much more subtle. You see, when you're in a rut, it's not clear. A major part of being in a rut is to realize that you're in the rut, to realize that you're stuck in a portion of your life that you may not even like, but you've accepted it. A rut can be a job that you really, really hate, that you hate going there every day, that the people don't treat you right, that they don't pay you enough. But you keep going because you need the money. You keep going because you're afraid to strike out on your own. A rut may be a relationship, one that does not empower you. Can be a painful relationship, but you stay with it. You stick in there, almost in denial. A rut can be a business that you're in, simply because you invested your money, simply because you announced to the world that you were going to do it, and it's simply not working. And you keep going through the motions. Basically, a rut boils down to acceptance. Whatever you accept, you get. I'll say that again. Whatever you accept, you get. And so if you're in a rut, it may be just that you've accepted status quo. You've said to yourself, well, it's really not that bad. Sometimes people will be in relationships that do not honor them, that do not empower them. And in fact, it may even be painful to them. But they stay in the relationship because they're afraid to go somewhere else. Reverend Ike used to talk about Sister Mary, and Sister Mary, she said, oh, Reverend Ike, she was talking about her husband, and she was saying all the negative things about him. And so Reverend Ike says, well, why don't you get rid of it? And she said, no, because the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. So often we can stay stuck in a rut just because we're afraid to go someplace else, to do something else. We're always in a rut because of the choices we make. We choose to stay in a rut. We may not see it as an active choice, but the results say we made that decision. There was a worker one day, I love the story, and I may have told it before, a fellow who worked in one of those factory jobs, and every day, he would come in, and when they had lunch, he would open his lunch pail and he'd go, God, peanut butter and jelly again. And appeared disgusted. And he'd eat it, but he didn't seem happy about it. So finally, one of his coworkers said, well, hey, why don't you tell your wife to make something different? A different type of sandwich. He said, I don't have a wife. He said, well, who made the sandwich? He said, I did. And so many times when we're in a rut, it's such a subtle thing that we're doing the very things to perpetuate that rut almost subconsciously. So he gets up every morning and the only thing he thinks, let me make a sandwich. And his habit tells him to do peanut butter and jelly. But then when he gets to work, he goes, ah. So being in a rut, sometimes we create that situation in our lives where we created it, but we don't like it. But we don't leave it. How do you know you're in a rut? That's a good question. How do you know you're in a rut? Well, number one, chances are you're not happy. If you're not happy with your condition right now, if you're not happy with the people around you, if you're not happy with your job, with your situation, that's a good sign that you might be in a rut, especially if it's continued for a long time. If it's painful, that's a good sign that you may be in a rut. If it's disappointing, that's a good sign that you may be in a rut. If the passion is gone, many times we'll do things in life that we really love doing, and then as we continue, the passion is gone. The allure, the things that we loved about it are no longer there. You know how relationships, you meet a new person, and then that first stage of the relationship, that's all you can think about. But then after you get to know them better, after they tell and show you who they really are, the passion may be gone, the love may be gone, the interest may be gone. So we have to recognize that we're in a rut so often based on how we feel. We know the story of the dog whimpering on the porch. Fella's sitting on the porch and the beautiful dog, a beautiful German Shepherd, is sitting there and he's just whimpering. So a passerby says, what's wrong with the dog? And the man says, well, the dog is sitting on a nail. So the passerby says, why doesn't the dog get off the nail? And the man on the porch says, because it doesn't hurt badly enough. So we can be in a rut sometimes in our lives, and because it doesn't hurt badly enough, we stay there. That's one of the challenges about complacency. When we move along on our success journey, we get to a certain point where we just feel that there's nothing more we can do. We become very accepting of the life that we have, of the results we're getting. We don't feel enough pain, enough discomfort to say, enough is enough. Many times we really don't want to confront the fact that we're in a rut. If you're at that point in your life, and all of us get there, if you're at that point in your life where you're not happy, where you're a little fearful about the future, where the results that you're getting are not fulfilling, then that may be a sign that you're in a rut. But the key to being in a rut is to recognize you're in there, you're in that situation, and then once you say, hey, I'm in pain, rather than complain about the pain, let's change the things that's causing the pain. You see, some people will be in a rut and complain. They'll be in a job they hate, and all they talk about is how bad the job is. They'll be in a relationship that is not empowering, and all they do is talk about how bad the other person is. So when you finally make that decision to say, hey, looks like my life may be in a rut, there are four things that happen often. We can look at the rut. I call it the 4 F's. We can forget it. We can look at our job, a job that we hate, and go into complete denial. Pretend that it's okay. We can go to work every day hating that job. And we focus ourselves on, all I know is after 40 years, I'm going to get a gold watch and I'll be able to retire and not go there anymore. We may be in a relationship where you're constantly making excuses. You forget about the pain that the person is causing or the situation is causing. Well, we can also fight it. We can look at our situation and go into a state of blaming other people for our situation. I hate the job, but they won't give me a promotion. I don't like this relationship, but the other person won't change. My business is not growing because these people want to stay broke. Sometimes you flee it. You've met people who go from job to job to job, go from relationship to relationship to relationship, go from apartment to apartment to apartment. They are never happy. You say, well, what is going on? Because they flee the rut rather than dealing with the fact that they're in a rut of consciousness, of thought, of feelings, a rut of habit, a rut of relationships. Rather than deal with it, they flee. So this relationship is unrewarding. They go get another one. The moment they leave somebody, within 24 hours, they got a new person. The moment they get to a certain point on the job, all of a sudden everything is wrong. Everybody's not liking them. They off. They got a new job. But I say this: to become the person you really want to become, to do the things you really want to do, it's only when you face it. When you face the rut that you're in, when you face it that, hey, I hate this job. I really don't like this job. I got to make a change. When you face a relationship and you say, you know what, this really is not working for me. This person is not going to change. They've told me who they are. They've shown me who they are. I can't blame them. If I'm here, it's because I chose to be here. They may have to face a family situation. You know, we very often say you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. But there are some family members you may have to cut down the access. You know, there's some family members that's like Christmas, 2 days at Christmas. That's it. That's all I can handle from you and your negativity. There are other people, the only time show up is grandma's birthday. But once we make this decision to change, we're on the right path. So for our listeners this morning, I challenge you. Are you sitting on a nail? Is there a situation in your life that's really painful, but it just has not hurt badly enough to make you get up and change it? You know, your life is calling you, your destiny is calling you, and yet you sit there on that nail. So those of you listening today, if you're sitting on a nail and you know it, if you're not happy with your life, not happy with your condition, look around, you're sitting on a nail. So if those of you who are sitting on a nail, remember this affirmation. And it says, if it's to be, it's up to me. If I'm sitting on this nail of disappointment, of pain, of lack of love, if I continue sitting there, I made that choice. There's something keeping you there. But the moment you change, we call it the power of a made-up mind. The moment you make a decision and create the emotions, the habits, and the relationships that are congruent with that decision for change, nothing is impossible. The power of a made-up mind is absolutely unstoppable. You had the parable, the story in the Bible of David and Goliath. David was a young Hebrew boy, and Goliath was a big giant, the Philistines, and they wanted to capture the Hebrew people and enslave them. Adam Clayton Powell used to do one of his speeches was called, "What's in Your Hands?" What's in your hands? And the theme is that you have in your hands everything you need to get everything you want. So let's follow the story of David and look at the parallel. David wanted to be free. He did not want to suffer as a slave under the Philistines, and the only thing standing between him and his freedom was Goliath. In our lives, there's something standing between you and your freedom, between you and your goals, between you and your vision, between you and your destiny. What is your Goliath? What is standing there? What is stopping you from getting out of this rut and flying? What is stopping you, keeping you in the nest when you're a full-grown eagle? When all you have to do is jump out the nest and your wings will sprout automatically. As we continue with the story, David made a decision that he was not going to be a slave. Now, he didn't go to college. He didn't seek counsel. He didn't put together an army. He made a decision, and then he looked around to find a stone that he knew if he could take that stone and use his slingshot and hit Goliath in this particular place in his temple, he could take him out. So what's the message there? The message there is when you are confronted with a Goliath, when you are confronted with that thing that's keeping you stuck in that rut, that all you have to do is look around, that you already have everything you need to get everything you want. You were not created to stay in a rut. You were not created to stay on a job you hate. You were not created to stay in a relationship with people who dishonor you. And so once you make that blanket decision, the new thought, that stone that David picked up, that stone is rock solid belief that something is better for you. That stone is rock solid belief that you don't have to stay stuck, that you just have to take action. And see, that's the idea of the slingshot. In other words, you have the belief, but you also have to do something. You don't think yourself out of a rut. You have to act yourself out of a rut. You have to do things. And so when we look around us, really, after today, to really look and see what is your Goliath, what is that thing that's stopping you, that's keeping you in a situation that you don't like, and then to accept and know that you have everything you need to change it. That once you make that decision, once you convert faith and belief through action, you always get results. We live in a harmonic universe, a universe of energy. So the moment you decide to do something, that power of made-up mind, you create a vibration now that forces the universe to align with your vibration. So how do we get out of a rut? Once again, think about David and Goliath. When David made his decision to go up against Goliath, there was no turning back. It was do or die. And so for us to get out of the ruts that may hold us locked in this situation that we're not happy about, it's got to be do or die. Failure is not an option, only success. And so what are the steps to help us get out of a rut? 9 steps. Number 1, you must realize that you're in a rut first, because as long as you forget it, as long as you flee it, as long as you fight it, you will stay stuck in that rut. Once you face it, once you accept that fact, hey, this is not working for me. Once you accept that fact, then you can make the power decision to change. So step 1, realize you're stuck in a rut and make a decision for change. Step 2, you got to know who the Goliath is. Identify the challenges that are stopping you, that are holding you there in that relationship. Why are you staying in a relationship that hurts? You know, many times we have families and you say, well, I got kids to take care of. I got a family to take care of. I cannot risk changing my situation because it may not work. David did not doubt whether the stone would take Goliath out. We cannot doubt whether we have the ability to get out of that relationship. See, everything you can't change from what it is. You may not have control over other people. You don't, but you do have control over yourself. So identify all of those things that are stopping you. Write them down. You know that principle in the Habakkuk when it says, write the vision and make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. The whole idea is that it's something about the writing process that once you write it down, it's not as scary anymore. Once you write it down, you begin to see what is real and what is not. Many times we spend our life fighting demons that don't exist. We're going through duels with ghosts. And the only thing that gives that ghost life is our own fears and beliefs. So once you identify the challenges, write down the Goliaths that are keeping you stuck where you are in this rut. You can go to the third step, which is take responsibility for your Goliath. Take responsibility for the situation that you're in. The dog sitting on the nail, the dog chose to sit on that nail, and the dog has to make that decision. I chose to stay here. So I created this pain. So once you take responsibility for the Goliath in your life, take responsibility. I'm in a job I hate, but I'm here because I accepted it. I let them treat me this way. Welcome, Anthony Baxter. Thank you for joining us. The moment I take responsibility for the existence of Goliath, I can now deal with him. The moment David said, okay, he's big, he's ugly, he's mean, he's powerful, but yet I rise. You see, when you realize that you created it, you have the power now to change it. Step 4. As a preliminary, there are 2 journeys in life. We talk about when we do the chapter on goals in the book, we talk about goals from and goals to. You know, sometimes, you know, you may, a person who's a smoker, for example, they say, my goal is to stop smoking. Well, that's a good goal. There are journeys from and there are journeys to. The most powerful journeys, though, are the journeys to. So when you are in that rut and you've realized that you've identified the challenges, you've taken responsibility for it, step 4 is to make a list of how you would like your life to be. We got to stop shadowboxing and start focusing on exactly how we would like our life to be. So if it's a job, say, hey, what kind of job would I like? I would like a job where they pay me what I'm worth. I would like a job where I can work from home. I would like a job where there's opportunities for advancement. Man, I may become the CEO. In other words, once you start writing out the things that you want, you are creating a vibration relationship between where you are and where you would like to be. We live in a harmonic universe, and when you can create a harmonic relationship between where you are and where you want to be, that creates a vibration which then begins to make all the things you need to make that a reality come into your space. Make a list and write out how your life would be if these obstacles were removed. How your life would be if you had somebody who really loves you, who really honors you, who really treats you the way you want to be treated. Step 5, find a person to model. There's so much in life, you know the term monkey see, monkey do. Well, there's so much in life that we do just because we see other people do it. You go to a church where the minister has a shaved head, and I guarantee you, you will find a ton of men in that church with a shaved head. You walk down the street and you see the young men with their pants dropped below their underwear. And you say, man, and you look around, there's tons of people. There's something in life, there's an imitative portion in life that is a subconscious way of imitating. All right. There's a subconscious way of imitating and creating a life that we may not want to experience. We're just going through the motions of imitation. The moment we have recognized that, then we can use that affirmatively. Imitate people who have what you would like to have. Imitate people who have been where you want to go. This imitation process is so powerful because it really puts you in a situation where you have a model to follow. You can walk a mile in their footsteps and you can be pretty sure that the way will be clear and beautiful because they've already been there. They've shown the way. You see, as you grow, your perception grows. If you're the smartest person in a group, you need to get in another group. So when you find people to imitate, they help you to emulate, to model. And let me just be very clear about that. I don't mean blindly model, but to look at the things that they have done, the things that they accomplished, how they do it, and then apply it to yourself. Step 6. Sometimes I call it say yes. Trust your decision. Once you decide to model a person's behavior, trust the decision. It always amazes me when a person comes and says, I want to be your student. And then we start to dialogue. And the moment I share some ideas, they want to give me all the criticism of it. Well, I know that doesn't work. You've had friends and they say, well, man, I need help. Okay, well, have you ever thought of doing this? Well, no, that doesn't work. Have you ever looked at that? No, I tried that. It didn't work. So say yes, to trust your decision, that once you have made that decision to be David and to pick up that stone, once you've made that decision to find someone to model and take advice from, to suppress your own ego so that you can get from them what you need to go where you want to go. Each step you grow. Each step you learn more. All right. As you learn more, you become more. Step 7. Help someone else. Now that's a very interesting thing. What do you mean help someone else? Help someone else because when you help someone else, it's confirmation that you've got it. You know, we often say when I teach network marketing, we say you need to learn, practice, and master the skills so that you can then teach, demonstrate, model, and certify another person's getting the message. And so when you help someone else, you find that the greatest way to help another person sometimes is to be an example. You know, there are people that have a help complex. They always want to help. But one of the greatest ways to help is to be an example. Reverend Ike used to say, the best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. When you are an example, people see the living of your life and it validates for them what they need to learn to go where they want to go. So being an example is profound. One of the athletes said, I'm not a role model. That's not true. Just the fact that you're here doing what you do, you're always a role model. People always look at you and look at the example of your works. Step 8. No matter how dark it is, to realize that you're only stuck for a moment. That being stuck is just a cycle of growth. It's just how things grow. Birth. Having a child is painful, but the blessings and joys of having children, people are willing to go through the pain to have the blessing, the benefits. So once you recognize that you're only stuck for a moment, It's like acknowledging the fact that we live on the river of time. And this river is always moving because there's always a force that's taking it from where you are to where you want to be. And so living on this river of time, we're only stuck for a moment, that if we just hold forth, as Dave, we just look for that rock. We just be willing to take the action to sling that rock, to knock that Goliath out. You will be victorious. So being stuck is only for a moment. And then finally, number 9, embrace change. The one constant in the universe is the constant of change. There is always change taking place in everything you do. That there's never a time that the world is static. The world is always in motion. The river of life, the river of time constantly flows. So embrace that, understanding that you have to continuously grow and go and grow, that you never come to a point where you have it all, that the essence of life is to increase your awareness, your understanding, your consciousness, and you never get there. That's the whole point of life. There's always another flower to plant. There's always another mountain to climb. There's always another Goliath that needs to be terminated. That's just the way it is. So, for those of you who may feel that you're in a rut, you don't have to stay there. You have the power to change it, to create life exactly the way you want it to be. Let me review these 9 points quickly so that you can focus on them and work with them. Number 1, to realize that you're in a rut. Whatever your situation is, if you're not happy, you're in a rut, and make a decision to change. To number 2, identify the challenges. What are the things stopping you from becoming the person you want to be? Number 3, take responsibility for those challenges. Whatever you're going through, you created it. Nobody else created it. Now, somebody else may have done it and you accepted it, but even your acceptance, what you accept, you get. Number 4, make a list of how you would like your life to be, of the things you want to be, the things you want to do, the things you want to have. Number 5, find someone to model. Find someone who's been stuck in a rut and who's gotten out of that rut, who's overcome their Goliath and moved on to great things. Number 6, say yes. Trust the process. Trust your decision making. Number 7, help somebody else. Be an example. The confirmation that you are who you are is the way you live your life, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your habits, and in your associations. Number 8, to recognize that you're in a rut, but it's only for a moment. No matter what it is, no matter how big the Goliath is, it's only for a moment. And then finally, number 9, to recognize that life is a process of constant change, that you never get there, that you're always evolving to it. We say success is a continuous realization of your worthwhile purpose. And the point in life is to stay on the journey. Because as long as we're on the journey, we will increase our awareness, we will increase our happiness, we will increase our capacity for abundance. Always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Wow. Getting out of a rut. Thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that I touched some of you, because all of us experience this situation of being in a rut. Sometimes it's a tender rut. Sometimes it's a harsh rut. But whatever that rut may be, we have the capacity to get out of it and to go beyond it. Once again, as I do at the end of our special broadcast, I thank you so much for being here. And I ask each and every one of you, and so many of you have done it. We have so many eagles who've really stepped up and supported our message, but even more so confirmed our message. And so I say to you, whatever you value, you feel this message has given you today, to go to our Cash App and confirm it with some amount of money. That's $ Herbie Man, $HERBYMAN. Many times when you confirm the message you've had, it creates a subconscious power source within you to manifest that message in your life. So once again, that's cash, $ Herbie, HERBYMAN, Herbie Man. We'll appreciate it, all that you do. Thanks so much for being with us for another Success Mentorship class number 163, How to Get Out of a Rut. Dr. Herbert Harris saying, see you next Saturday morning, same time, same station. You can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have whatever you want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Those of you who are on our Zoom, please stay here for our discussion.